Welcome to Something Positive for Positive People. I'm Courtney Brain. Something Positive for Positive People is a podcast that is essentially self-development for people with herpes. It is also a nonprofit organization that offers donation-based mental health resources for anyone who may be struggling with herpes stigma, meaning that you, the listener, as well as any of the donors, have given money to support people who may only be able to afford a little bit of the costs of therapy, and you're able to make up the difference for that. So, if you want, you can consider donating to Something Positive for Positive People at www.spfpp.org. Other ways to support are to like, subscribe to, rate, review the podcast on whatever listening platform you have. All right, so today I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the best of your ability. Just share whatever it is that you would like to share. I will call you whatever you'd wish to be called as well. I butchered your name the first time, so I'm going to let you say it one more time. I actually have no reason to say your name because we're having a conversation with each other. So, go ahead. How old are you? What's your name and where you located?
Okay. So, hi everyone. Anyone who's listening to this, my name is Karan. Karan Verma being the full name. From India, from the city of Bangalore. I am 23 years old. Cis male, androgynous, and I'm an artist. Yeah, that's the short version.
What kind of art?
Mostly illustrations, digital art, stuff like that. I lean mostly in the automotive segment, and I've always been a car and a bike guy. So, like, most of my art gets diverted in the automotive field and stuff like that.
All right, cool.
But yeah, I draw and paint everything, any medium. And only about like 2 or 3 years ago, I recently ventured in the digital side of things. But until then, I was like a pen and paper kind of a person.
Yeah.
So it's me.
Do you use pen and paper for your drafts and then you take it digitally, or are you full digital now?
Yeah, it's the initial 10%, like that muscle memory only activates when like there's something organic like the pen and paper going on. I feel so. The initial 10% definitely happens in my this draft book, which I personally like to call the incubator. And this is where like the initial embryo stage of my artworks happen. And yeah, it begins like that, and it just travels through like 2 or 3 devices of mine, through my tablet, through my laptop, stuff like that, and 2 or 3 softwares, and ends up being like an artwork,
Cool.
In whatever medium it's needed, like be it like even like medium wise, like if it's needed on a t-shirt, there's like a certain way to get that file ready in the end. So along with the aesthetic part, it's also like the technical stuff. So I just kind of like balance it all out and get the artwork ready.
Cool.
To, whichever destination it has to plan on, be on a t-shirt or a poster or just an Insta post for that matter.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So you reached out to me, I believe it was 2 nights ago. I remember I opened the email, I was out, and I was probably drinking. And I was like, I read through it, and I was like, I should probably hurry up and respond to this so I don't lose the email. So that was why I replied right away. And I was like, yeah, well, what are you doing? What's the earliest you're available so we can get the recording done? But just to start out, what made you reach out?
So it's something that like I just knew I had to do for some reason. Like I've been listening to your podcast for like a couple of months now. As I mentioned in that extensive email which I sent you, I didn't know that I was disturbing your New Year's Eve or something.
No, it wasn't disturbing anything at all.
Yeah. It was. I just thought like and the reason why the email was also so extensive was because one shot, and I need to kind of get here. So, kind of like answering question now. What made me reach out, right? So, it's It's the it's like listening to a podcast has been like this the safe space of sorts, this meditation. And every day, I take my morning walks or evening walks, and like music and all doesn't happen anymore for some reason. I'm just like, I need to listen to like this podcast and just see what's up with people. And every podcast is like a new story, new like dimension of this human condition coming in with every single podcast. And I just knew like, okay, it's a place where, so it's like everything is accepted before anything is even talked about. It's just accepted. That's the first step. I feel that I've noticed, like way before we even get into things, like, okay, come as you are. That's how you welcome your guests. Like, come as you are. You're already accepted. Like, even if you don't know the people you're interviewing, like, you're already accepted whatever you are. Like, doesn't matter how fucked up you think you are as a person, it's okay,
Yeah.
Come here and just talk about it.
Thank you for saying that, especially the way you worded it, because that's consistent with one of the more popular podcast episodes titled Self-Acceptance. And that is, I don't want to say it's the number one thing that we need, but I think that is a really good starting point of being able to first accept yourself. And it's easier to do when you are able to come into a space where you see so many other people have been accepted already. Because we might not know what it feels like to experience acceptance until we see enough of it or hear enough of it on the podcast, for instance, from other people. Like, we get to experience what it feels like to be accepted through other people, and then we know what it feels like for ourselves so that we can look for it.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is, So that's what brought me here. Like, apart from the fact that, I got herpes around a year and a half ago.
Oh, it was a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it was 30th July 2021.
Okay. Oh, damn, you remember the day and everything. So, I guess walk me through how you found out.
How I found out, another story in itself, I think. So the exposure happened on 30th July 2021. That's how it is, and I wouldn't know until like a little over a month later. The report didn't come into my hand until September 5th of 2021. So it was like a full month of, everything, every emotion running through the mind. So how do I even like start the story? Like, okay, you tell me, what do I focus on this part of the story?
Oh yeah, so I would like to know when you first thought that you had herpes.
Okay, so 30th July happens. I spend this evening with a stranger. I matched with her on Bumble, and like it was like one of those casual hookups. Like, you talk for like a few minutes, and like, you want to come over? Okay, sure. And then I was there.
Wait a minute. Time out. You said that so easily. Like, you know what kind of game you have to have in order to match with someone, message them for a few minutes, and then get them to come over the same day?
That's completely how it didn't go. I wish it was like that. I wish it was one of those like, oh, I'm like the Super Omega 5000 who has all the game in the world, and 5 minutes of talking with someone, they just spread it open for me. But that's not how it was. That's definitely not. It was quite depressing, quite sad how the entire situation was, and it happened because it was like a perfect storm. The entire casual hookup happened because it was a perfect storm, and those two people who were there in that room, like now that I think about a year and a half later about introspecting so much, it went down exactly how it was supposed to be. You have a person like me who is just speaking out on his desperation, just speaking out. Like, there's no like nice way to put it. So I'll just say it as it is, just waking up every day and just kind of just throbbing helplessly, just being horny for no reason whatsoever, just day in and day out, without even like watching pornography or anything, just being horny 24/7, just this uncontrollable stuff. And this is something which I'll be like looking into deeper in my therapy sessions,
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back like 15 years or something. It's a story in itself, I feel, which I am yet to dive into.
Okay.
Few things which happened in the childhood, which kind of reverberated through the years, and it's like a butterfly effect. Something happens when you're a kid, and it just grows and never stops. So coming back to the topic again, yeah. So it was like I matched with this woman, and we just talked for a bit, and it was like my desperation was ready to lead me out anywhere. Like I was in a different state of mind. It was again not a pretty way to put this, but I'll just say it. It was just using like your dick is like a tip of a compass, and wherever it points, you just kind of run in that direction. Kind of level of desperation I'm talking about. So it was that, and coupled with this woman who was texting me, who was like, see, when I reached there, whatever happened that evening, the most dramatic part isn't like me catching herpes. The most dramatic part was what I saw. And what I saw was like this woman who's just completely dazed out of her mind, intoxicated out of her mind, like heavy intoxicated, just cannot get high enough. And I also kind of like got with it. I know like I shouldn't have like done too much of it, but like even I got heavily intoxicated that day the moment I reached there. And then I can't even see properly. I'm so like I'm intoxicated at this point, and things kind of like go forward a little, and like we're here for business, right, so to speak. So that begins, and until now, like it's not. I haven't been disclosed. Just to say that clearly, I have no clue, like whatsoever, and like so we are in. So like about like half an hour or so, we're just making out and doing this and that, and then we move forward. The clothes sort of come off, and then I'm like, so I put the condom on somehow. I can barely see anything. I put the condom on, and then 5 seconds before I enter, just 5 seconds before, like I'm just like about to go in there, and then I hear this, mutter under her voice, that she kind of like whispers that I have herpes. Kind of just realized that, like, oh, by the way, I like kind of like that, and like a nonchalant realization happens on her part, like, oh shit, I have herpes, like that. And I'm just intoxicated out of my mind. I'm like, huh? Oh, okay. And I just go in anyway, I just, thrust away, I just do my thing. And I'm just like intoxicated out of my mind, I'm just getting mine, and just doing my thing. It's like, yeah. Anyway, after like, yeah, go on. Listen.
I was gonna ask, do you think that she had to get as drunk as she did in order to tell you that, or maybe because she wasn't going to tell you that?
I still can't figure that part out. But one thing I can tell you, so after everything was over, like about 2-3 hours, and the high is kind of coming down now in my mind, I'm just sitting on the bed, and she's just in the other room, and I'm just like, okay. She said something about herpes. I'm recalling that now. And I just go up to her and I talk about it. No, I don't go to her just yet. I'm just sitting there, and for the first time in my life, I Google herpes then.
No.
For the first time, yeah. I've never heard of it. I mean, I've heard of it in movies and all a couple of times. There is that, in Hangover 1 or 2, there's that one scene like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but not herpes. That shit comes back with you, bro. So I remember that one scene. But herpes was just like something I've never heard of until that day. And I Google herpes for the first time after I'm done with all that stuff that happened that evening. Yeah, easily the worst sex in my worst sex ever. It barely qualified as sex, it was that weird. So yeah, I Googled that and I read, it's like how throughout your podcast we have talked about how it's the worst thing to do to Google, and I'm doing exactly that while being intoxicated. You know, so first thing I read is like there's no cure for it, and then come the images. Yep, the nightmare and everything. Then I just close the phone and I'm like, yo, and I just go up to her and I start talking about it somehow. I don't know what to say. I'm still a little intoxicated, and she's gearing up for round two. She's just like not getting round two in the sense of intoxication, not of sex. So, recharge that high. She's just getting ready for that, and she's just like talking and things like. And then I asked her like, why didn't you tell me? Like the least you could do is at least tell me right before I left my home. I should have known this thing, right? And then this one thing I'll never forget in my entire life. Her reply was so legendary. It was like, but I thought I told you.
When she said that, did she mean I thought I told you before the condom was on? Did she think that she told you in your conversations?
And the thing is, like, they texted for like a couple of days. It wasn't like 5 minutes of texting and then I reached out. It was like a couple of days. I don't remember. It wasn't more than a couple of days of talking on Bumble on and off. So it was something like that. That reply will never get out of my head. Like, I thought I told you. I'm like, bitch, when? Like, it was so, yeah, that kind of like broke me a little, but I was still, like, okay. And then it doesn't stop there. She starts to like talk about, oh, we used a condom. Don't worry about it. And then she proceeds to say one more thing like, this is also something I'll never forget. So it made me recall it. Yeah, it was like, don't worry, like the outbreaks happen only like once or twice in your entire life, and it's not fatal. She used that word, okay? I'm like, are you giving me that pep talk already? Like, wait, I'm not ready to even have this in my body yet, and you're giving the pep talk already? Like, it's not fatal. That girly-ish tone, it's okay, it's not fatal. I'm like, yo, don't give me the pep talk already. I don't even know what happened today, I'm a little dazed. Just hearing these words, like, I thought I told you, and hey, don't worry, it's not fatal.
Yeah, it seems like, it seems like, okay, so she told you, she downplayed it, and then she tried to even further downplay it, but the second one was kind of contradictory because she basically said, you're not going to get it, and then it was, if you get it, it's not that bad.
Yeah, like, oh, we used a condom. Like, that one sentence. I'm like, yeah, I know. But, and the traumatic part again is not, again, the, like, me getting herpes there. I'll tell you, like, how herpes entered my body even though I was wearing a condom, okay? There was no oral sex. There was, like, I didn't even fingers or anything. There was no oral sex. Like, I didn't, like, eat her pussy out or anything. Like, I'll tell you that in about, like, a minute or so. I'll first tell you, like, what still kind of haunts me more or less till this day. What happened that day? It wasn't that I got herpes, it was what I saw and what I basically stuck my dick into, so to speak. And just that person, like, the way she was just treating herself, it was like the peak self-abandonment I've seen, like one of the worst cases of self-abandonment I've seen. Like, her entire body was just, covered in hair, and it isn't like the kind of hair which you see like, oh, my body, my rules kind of hair. Okay, I don't have problem or anything against human hair. It's natural. But this was different. This was like, oh, I haven't, and her body was stinking very badly, and it was just like, oh, I don't take care of my body for months on end. I just stay here intoxicated all day, It was that level kind of self-abandonment. That's why I said it's a perfect storm what happened that day. It wasn't my game or anything. She got the kind of guy which would, answer that call. Only a person who's down bad as fuck who was just, really not in his mind completely and just using his dick as a tip of a compass, so to speak. So it was like a mix of like self-abandonment from her end and desperation from mine. So again, in my case also, you can say that I had abandoned myself to a certain extent if I was, using my dick as a compass. So it was a common theme between both of us.
That's a very interesting observation because like goes to like. And what you saw from her in terms of self-abandonment was an external representation of your internal. Because you said that you were going through just waking up being horny all the time, right? And not, you didn't say that?
I did say that.
I saw you shaking your head this way. All right, the way I took that was like, no, that's not what I said. Okay.
I'm not good with nods, and sometimes they go side to side.
Okay. But to go from that, like, there's a desperation for connection, because we need, whenever we're experiencing something so intensely like desperation, what we need is the other end of that, which is like an acceptance, so to speak. Connection is what I meant to say. So you two were so like, even though you're different, you were so like in where you were mentally, that you were just naturally drawn to each other. And in your case, it was like, okay, you got that connection, but you got to see somebody that was like worse off than you in a way. Like you got to see this, and then you were able to see kind of that this was the path that you were headed on. Is that accurate at all?
Yeah, that's why I used the term. It still kind of haunts me to this day because that's what I saw, right? I literally stuck my dick into this person who was reduced to being a medium of, like, I don't even blame her directly, How I see her is like, I don't have any grudge against her or something. How I see her is just like this victim of this huge, like, pile of negativity. And what she's reduced to now is she's just a carrier of negativity. She just, like, she's just a medium of negativity. Her body, her being, how beautiful a human being is supposed to be. She's just reduced to just this medium through which, negativity channels itself into other people. So, of course, she passed on the herpes. It's like that. It's a no-brainer, of course, like a person who's operating on that level of self-abandonment. Like, of course, they'll, not just the herpes, and that's what I'm saying. The herpes wasn't the worst part. What along with that, what entered my body and my being was this negativity. And what I saw there, like, oh shit, this is what a person who's so high strung looks like, who has completely given up on themselves, who's just out of it, who's just inviting these people. Who knows how many dudes she must have invited before me or after me? Who knows?
Yeah.
And it's like every day she wakes up and she's just being this medium of negativity, and everything that she embraces, with that not so stable state of mind, a mind who's not completely, in line with rationality. Shit, who knows what happens?
Yeah.
But I just ended up there, and that's what I saw. I stuck my dick in it, so it was like I was intimate with that level of, dark energy, literally. And my love language is touch,
Mm-hmm.
And touching that body, which was just, like I said, like I don't have anything against, like I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I don't have anything against human hair or women with hair or something. It's completely fun, it's natural. But seeing like this dense layer of hair on a body, which I was trying to touch, and just the stench that is coming off the body, and what I saw was like I to put it simply, I just felt like more or less like a necrophilia. I'll just go ahead and say that word. It's a strong word, I know, but you stick your dick into something which is barely alive and present in the moment. That's what you feel,
Mm-hmm. What's your relationship to alcohol? Was it just alcohol, or were there drugs too?
No, actually, like, can't mention. I would like to, like, not mention.
Okay. All right.
Like what? I'll just use the word that's why I'm using the word intoxication.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, then I will speed past that question. When would you have had sex with this person sober?
Sober. I mean, if the situation played out exactly how it played out, minus the intoxication, I think I would have paused a little bit more.
Okay. All right.
Just, like I said, when I was like 5 seconds away from entering her, I would have paused when she said the word herpes. If I was sober, maybe I would have paused. Maybe I would have had a better chance if I was sober.
Okay. There's a former podcast guest that I had. I don't think that this person didn't have herpes, but he said a very interesting thing. He said, I have to obey the politics of what makes my dick hard. And when he said that, that got me thinking about like how human beings tend to lead with pleasure, or that's an option. We either lead from a state of survival and scarcity and fear, or we lead from love, abundance, and pleasure. And so,
Yeah.
leading with pleasure in a way kind of sent us down, for many of us, I'm not going to say everyone, can lead us down to a place where we connect with someone that might expose us to herpes, and then we challenge our relationship to that. But also there's the component of like scarcity and fear where leads us into a situation where we can get herpes, and then we find ourselves figuring this out from there. With that baseline of understanding, would you say that what led you to this person was a pursuit of pleasure, or running or like a fear of something? Was it fear or pleasure that led you in that direction?
Um,
And it can be both, and it can be neither. So I don't want you to feel like you have to force an answer.
Yeah, it's like the word pleasure just sounds like such a luxury. Like the moment you use that word, at least like through my perspective and so far, like, and yeah, I don't know if I should even use the word pleasure at all. It's something which was like a step 2 or step 3. Step 1, which I feel like, or at least my body was craving, was to speak its love language. It was just to touch or be touched, primarily.
Were you craving the intimacy of touch, or did you just need to get some pussy?
It was definitely both.
Yeah.
But it's something which it's 50-50. It's like when sex happens, touch naturally happens. So I'll get to speak my love language even though it's a casual encounter.
Yeah.
It's just begging for an opportunity to speak your love language of sorts.
Okay. When you said pleasure is a luxury, I want to explore that a little bit because I think there's something there. Did you consider pleasure to be a luxury before your diagnosis, or do you now believe that pleasure is a luxury because of your diagnosis?
Oh shit, now that you put it that way, like, see, the only reason why I even used the word luxury, yeah, it sounds odd, I get it, but I think scarcity of something can, make you feel like, yeah, that thing is luxury. That is something which happens only so often, Like people who are, kind of dying of hunger or thirst, water is a luxury for them, which we take for granted. It's all relative, right? It's a feeling. We might feel like, why are they treating water like luxury, right? We have taken it for granted all our lives. We don't know. Like, but they know. I think people who have, in some way or the other, be it internally or externally, like, there's this feeling of like craving, right? And if many years go by and this craving is still present within you, think it just kind of starts to feel like, okay, it is some sort of a luxury, and whenever it happens, it's just something to be revered and to really go all in into. So, in my case, like, the reason why I'm using the terms pleasure being a luxury is, so I'll tell you one more thing. This woman, like, through whom, like, I contacted herpes, this was the second ever time I had sex in my life. Like, second ever time. So and the first ever time I had, so it was again a casual encounter, It wasn't one of those like meaningful connections with a girlfriend or something.
Okay. Is that what you would have preferred? Would you have preferred to have had a girlfriend and let this be a meaningful connection and then have sex?
I guess because, see, the initial encounters and these initial experiences, right? The first or the second time you have sex in your life, I think these are very pivotal things and very heavy things. And I think it's just better if you have it with someone who you trust instead of throwing yourself to the wolves, and just, I think it would have been better. But at that time, like I said, I wasn't thinking in that manner, right? I just wanted to get my dick wet because every day I wake up and my body craves this, and I used to literally apologize to my body that I'm sorry, like I'm trying, but I don't know, I'm sorry. Like, I should literally apologize to my body.
Man,
it's craving.
So yeah. I don't know if you want to go here, and you can feel free to say no, and we can move on. But this is.
Take me there. I'm just saying, take me there. I'm good with anything.
Okay, so it makes me think about like the current climate of the world and how there is such an emphasis on casual sex. There's such an emphasis on being able to have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Yeah. And how even the world of sex positivity is speaking about sexual liberation, right? And how it's leading to these outcomes where people feel like they have to conform to something that may not be true to them. So you're the kind of person who would like to have a girlfriend, have a meaningful connection, have sex with this person, and maybe society is pressuring you into, well, if I do want to have a meaningful connection, then I guess I have to have casual sex, and then eventually I'll get what I want. Do you feel that? Is that true for you or no?
So I think I'll add a little bit of correction there. When you said like society might be making me feel this way, it's I think a little bit opposite in my case. And this is where I think I have to like kind of go in a little backstory and give you the entire context as to why I sound the way I do right now. And like, why do I sound like such a person who is so sexually depraved? Who is, why am I using terms like, waking up every day and apologizing to my body for not providing it the sex it craves so much and stuff like that? So, I'll try to keep it brief. There's no way to keep this brief anyway, so I'll go ahead with it. I think, see, I've been a kind of person who has isolated himself for since forever, since I was a kid. Could be, I think, attributed to the rough upbringing that I've had, and it's, I don't want to point any fingers at anyone or anything, this is not the time to hold grudges and shit, I feel. But, yeah, it's just, I've grown up isolated. I've always been like, kind of, let's just say, like, I've been insecure around women, full stop, okay? There's no other way to put this. Especially women, like people in general, of course, crowds, are like a big deal. And I don't like, I've just grown up in isolation. I put myself in isolation. I have pushed people away also, the few people who do. But there are people who have stuck around with me nonetheless, who saw the good in me, who saw beyond like my toxic coping mechanisms and still chose to love me, and all that has happened. So many years went by like that, and that could be one of the reasons why I never had a girlfriend. Yeah, till this day, I've never been in a proper, like serious relationship. All the while craving for it, but at the same time, isolating myself and keeping myself away from people and all that.
Okay. Do you have examples around you? I know you said you isolate, keep yourself away from people, but I'm sure you have like some kind of people contact. Do you see
Definitely.
do you see relationships? Do you see healthy relationships at all? And think to yourself, oh
Yeah,
man, I'd like that.
yeah. I mean, I'm not like in the last 2 or 3 years, like around 2 or 3 years ago, I became sentient, so to speak. Like that's the term I like to use. Like that weird, like the world started to expand a little when I started to, like this internal voice inside me, which was like, no, this isn't it, man. This isn't it. Can't just, like be reduced to this. You know what I mean? To the
Mm,
shit that's happening at home, to like the shit that's happening at home, or the shit that happened in school or college and stuff. I can't be reduced to these two places.
yeah, yeah,
And that inner voice, like, kind of started to, pull me out and take me out into the world. And I just started slowly going out there. And like in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been a lot better. The isolation cycles have reduced significantly. I am around good people. Yeah, I am like friends with people who are in relationships, who are married, actually, and I see a lot of healthy love around me. And
yeah,
I've surrounded myself with it. It's an intentional thing. It's not a chance or something. It used to be like a um, coincidental thing. Some good person will run into me and kind of inject this positivity and this good energy in me, introduce me to, basic things like, hey, you don't always have to be so shaken up and scared and insecure. And just introduce me to basic concepts of the feeling of being loved and all that. Because, growing up for many years, that shit wasn't there, I feel. It was, it was just, I think, at least till the age of 15, I feel it was what I like to call this so-called, like, I'm using a strong word again, but this present sentence of sorts. Like, it was a very reduced form of me which was there, living in my body.
okay.
Up until I was 15, 16 at least.
Um,
It was,
I would like to touch on something here from like being loved. So you said that your love language is physical touch, and you said that you didn't feel love. So my question to you is, did you not feel loved, or did you just not feel loved in the way that you receive love growing up?
um,
And you
so
don't,
I
if you,
have this,
yeah,
like,
you don't have to answer that, but I just want to
I'll,
challenge that.
I'll, I'll, I'll answer everything. There's no such thing like that. The only thing I'm worried about is like, am I like running out of time? Am I running? It's like that. That's the only thing which is coming in my mind. Like, how much can I cram into this one session?
Okay, okay,
Yeah, because there is so much to talk about in my mind. That's what I feel.
yeah,
So I have been loved by a lot of good people in my life. There's been abundance of that. As far as love being a feeling and a healing thing and a healing process and all that goes, like I've had it in abundance. I'm grateful for it. But at the same time, I know like internally there is this like you wanna like um, you have your own love language, your own way of showing people love, right? And I guess sentimentally, I can only do it so much, right, with my friends. And on a platonic level, I can only go so far, and there is like still room to explore more. And I think that's where I think the void comes in.
hmm,
Void of like, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
You mentioned apologizing to your body, and
yeah.
I wonder, what are you doing to make up to your body for this? And I'm using air quotes when I say this for people who are listening at home. This terrible thing that you did to your body. Like, how are you making it up to your body?
Okay, so are you talking about like the post hobbies mindset of mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that actually changed. That's when things actually changed when I got the report in my hand. Um, so the mindset was like when I got the report in my hand, I'm looking at it, and I'm numb, obviously, you know. I'm just numb. I don't feel too much at the moment. And the first thought that comes to my mind is like, I think this is enough. I think I've hurt myself enough. That's the first thought that came to my mind. Like, I've ended up in wrong situations enough. I have changed enough. I have, we're talking about like 12 years of pornography addiction and stuff like that, behind me. And just hate wanking myself until I get tired enough to sleep, all those days. You know what I mean? Like, so I think I just realized that, okay, I have been, just treating myself like absolute shit, I've reduced myself to this thing where, it was just like wake up call to like, okay, I think this is enough self-harm. The way I treat myself, the way I reduced my, like, this beautiful reproductive organ which I'm born with, to be used just for the hate wanking sessions, I'll only look at my dick or just touch it only when I want to, put myself to sleep, kind of like using like a bong pipe, so to speak.
As a what?
You know what I mean? As like a bong pipe or like a glass pipe.
Ah, okay, got it.
Yeah, just like,
damn, that makes sense. That's a really good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, to take like a bong hit, only then you touch the bong. Yeah. Until then, you don't even look at it.
Yeah.
With the edge of. And so many years go by and just me reducing myself to that,
Mm.
And only after God that I put in my hand and things started to hurt, got all these blisters and everything, right? Things started to hurt and I realized that, okay, I think this is enough. I don't wish to like hurt myself anymore.
Yeah.
And things changed.
So you were in pain, and it seems like after coming into contact with a physical manifestation of how you feel on the inside with the woman that you had sex with and with now having your herpes diagnosis, you were able to see more accurately a reflection of how you felt. Is that accurate?
I think so, and I believe that if you ask for something badly enough, you do receive it, be it a good thing or a bad thing. And subconsciously, we keep asking for things that we don't even realize,
Yeah.
So, in a way, like I know, like this is a bad thing to say about myself, but in some way, some weird way, I might have asked for it, I might have. Given the mindset I was in, unknowingly.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, I asked for it.
And I think that what we're all asking for is, you use this word repress. I think that we're all asking for a form of identity validation. We're asking for our nature to be nurtured. And if there's a way that we can get it healthily in a more long-term or boring or hard way, or we can get it right now, fast and easy. And typically the right now, fast and easy route typically comes with long-term consequences, whereas the hard work and the healthy way, it doesn't necessarily have consequences, but it has like a short and sweet, like, yay, that was great, I did it. It was all this hard work, but yay, I accomplished it.
One sugar rush after another, there's one sugar rush after another.
Yeah.
And given the general mediocrity that most people experience as far as casual encounters go, like that's a general theme, right? There's a certain mediocrity involved in it. It's not always like the deepest connections and all that. So people just want more, thinking like tomorrow if I fuck someone else, I might make up for this wasted time which I had today with this person. And they just keep chasing these mediocre highs after mediocre highs, And this is where I'd like to say something very lame, but just came to mind.
It's not lame. It's not lame. Just say it. This is the space for it.
Yeah, so again, there's the man himself, Snoop Doggy Dogg, SWPD or WG Snoop Doggy Dogg said, it's not, I'm not paraphrasing him correctly, I know, but he was like, yeah, man, it's not how much you smoke, it's what you smoke.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Quality over quantity. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's like how many, like J's you go through. It's not that. One single fat, properly rolled spliff, and you're done.
Yeah.
You know, that shit can keep you tight for a while. So my man Snoop Dogg said it himself. So
yeah. It's about quality. I mean, the quality over the quantity. And like you said, when you continue to get more and more and more and more mediocrity, it's just more mediocrity. You're not getting.
Yeah, you just want to make up for the last time. You just want to make up for, like, okay, shitty experience. Tomorrow I'll wake up and try to make it better by, engaging in more of this one way of having sex that I've known for so many years.
Yeah, so it's like, if you want greatness, why do you keep giving more to mediocrity or more to average or less than? Because now you're only getting more of less. You're not getting more of what you actually want. That's a very well phrased statement, the way that you put that.
And just to just to put it out there, I'm not shitting on casual encounters or this lifestyle of whatever lifestyle this is of casual encounters. I'm not shitting on that one bit, because the casual encounters isn't the problem. It's
the intention,
the lack of communication over there, and all those things which go wrong. Even a casual encounter, like, you can spend one night with someone, and that can still be the best night of your life, even though it's a stranger. Like, not just in terms of sex, but anything in life. Like me and you, we have never met. It was the first time we are talking, and we're already, like, head diving into things. And I think if the same principle can be applied in other spaces of our life, including sex, even if it is a casual encounter with a stranger, just some basic communication, instead of, hearing words like, oh, I thought I told you I had herpes and stuff like that. If you hear shit like that, that's not exactly the best form of communication now, is it? So even casual encounters, like, no grudge against those people who engage in that. I get it. We all have our reasons. It's not even a bad thing at all, actually, done correctly. So it's just the way we are going about it, and are we actually abandoning ourselves while we're going about it? Are we not taking care of our own protection, and not just in the form of condoms? But I keep saying this in my mind, which is like, communication is the best protection. Before anything else, before condoms, before dental dams, before anything, before antivirals, communication, man. Like, dude, you need to talk, man. Like, speak, like, use your words.
Yeah.
Before you use your dick, man. Like, Jesus,
Yeah, and I mean, just taking it to the important part of what something positive for positive people does is the CDC says everything about protecting yourself from STIs except for communication. Like, there is so much more emphasis on wearing a condom every time than there is talking about the last time you were tested, what you were tested for, and then negotiating even condom use. Because I know people who never use condoms and don't get STIs because they communicate. But the general rule of thumb is we assume that if a condom is used, that we're fine. And that avoids a necessity of talking about our sexual health status.
Yeah, and that's what I got told, right? That, hey, we use condom, it's gonna be fine, nothing will happen. So I'll get to that, actually, now that you brought this topic up of using a condom and not using a condom, right? And so how it entered my body, how herpes entered my body was, so before I left my home, obviously, I take a bath, I do everything, because again, you see, in my mind, I'm like, okay, even though it's a casual encounter, I'm presenting my body to someone. Like, I had like this, I don't know to call it self-respect or whatever, but I like to take a full shower. I like to, run the trimmer across every corner of my body, and just have like this proper, like, yeah, I'm about to like fuck kind of mindset. And like, are we going in, boys? Like, go. Just like standing in the field team. So you have to be like prepped for it. That's what my mindset was, at least, even though it's a casual encounter, even though like, and what I saw there was obviously completely opposite, the complete opposite of hygiene, the complete opposite of courtesy and stuff. So how it entered my body was, like I said, I used a trimmer, right? And I used it to like trim my pubes and everything. And See, whatever I'm telling you now, this would take me another like 3 months after exposure to actually come to, to actually put it into words and explain it to myself what actually happened, what the fuck happened that day. How did it enter my body, you know? I'm talking weeks and weeks of anxiety, feeling, oh, did the condom break? What if she's pregnant? What if this and that? And so all that was happening, but so I use a trimmer to, just trim my pubes and everything. And so I think like in the moment when she was like on top and she was like riding me, I remember distinctly even seeing this, like her clit was just, rubbing against like those, like that pubic area, like right where that bone thing is there. I don't know what the bone is called.
The
like right above.
Oh my God, the mons pubis.
Okay,
I don't think that's a bone. Okay. Hold on, you talking about the pelvic? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's just above the dick, right where the pubes are, basically.
Yeah.
Just you can see her clit rubbing there, and okay, she's on top and she's riding, and I can see that. Okay, and I think that's where it happened, and like 3 weeks. So fast forward 3 weeks after the exposure, I get one single blister. Looks a little bit bigger than a mosquito bite, and one single thing. And obviously I go into denial. I start Googling stuff again. Like at this point, I double down on my Googling. I've been Googling all the while. I Google again, and actually I missed a step. So 1 week after the exposure, I had gone and given a blood test. I'd gotten a test done. It came back negative, and I was in a celebrating mood. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't get herpes. And then 1 week into my celebratory mind, I get one single blister. And this blister I get about an inch above my dick. Not on the dick. An inch above my dick. Right? The pubes are okay. And I'm like, okay. This is not on the dick, right? The images on Google show that the blisters are happening on the dick. Or on the balls and stuff. So this is not herpes. And there is this one thing which, like, there's a small infection that happens of the root of the hair or something. Okay, so I'm like, okay, must be some, bacterial infection because I haven't taken a bath in a couple of days or something. Pushed it aside. And then, like, it went away. Like, one blister and then a few more blisters came and they just went away. And I didn't think too much about it, but it stayed in the mind. It wasn't leaving. And at this point, a month has gone by after the exposure. I take another blood test towards the end of August, and I take another blood test. It would take another 1 week for the report to come back for some reason. It was supposed to come back in 2 days. It took another week. Longest week ever. All kinds of anxiety, everything, you name it. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, just locked in my room and just waiting for it, I guess. September 5th, 30th July is when the exposure happened. September 5th, a month and 6 days-ish later, I get the report and like I get it in the email and I see it like to people like it was an antibody count blood test. And to have a negative, it's supposed to be below 20, 25 or something, and mine was 110 written in bold. I'm like, okay, gone through the roof, definitely positive. Oh boy. And I was just numb that day. And that's how it entered my body. How it entered my body, coming back to that point, or should I completely ran over that? I believe there was a small cut which happened through my trimmer. Because I was doing it in a hurry because I need to get there.
I was excited.
I need to go and get myself some of that. So I was in that mindset and I was just rushing it through, And the process, I feel like I might have, chipped a little somewhere. One tiny cut is all it takes, I guess.
Yeah.
And it happened like that. It entered my body through the one tiny cut. And all the outbreaks that have happened since, they happened an inch or two above my dick. So in that case, condom did protect me. And I'm grateful that I wore condom because I think it's somewhat related to the herpes, like it carves a path as it, goes to the ganglia, the nerves and stuff. Before it's like, as it finds its way home, so to speak, it carves a path and it uses that path to come back, and erupt in the same place where it had entered. And that's why I haven't gotten a single blister on my dick. It happens an inch above my dick, like with the pubes are. So in that case, I got a blister because it would have been a lot more painful. I feel if it was happening on the gland or around the frenulum and stuff. Or on the thin skin of the testicle, it would be even more painful. So in that case, thank you, condom. But at the same time, oh well, it did enter my body nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple of minutes before the recording stops. So what I want to ask you here is there anything that you wish to share about your experience that you hope to use to help someone else if they come across this episode? Because I tell you what, like I had to write some notes down here, but what I've gotten out of this so far is, speaking to how the disclosure was downplayed to you, self-abandonment. I put a star by that. And then like being desperate and using your dick, and then like this wake-up call from self-harm. And I know these things don't necessarily have anything to do with herpes, because that's what I want people to understand. It's not all about the herpes, it's about our relationship to ourself. Herpes is just a physical visual manifestation that sort of forces us into the communication with other people and into a connection with ourselves, so that we're not just mindlessly walking through the world and doing what it is that we do, using sex for whatever we're using it for.
Exactly. There's so much to say, and like 1 hour is already over, and I'm like, oh shit, I was just getting in there, and I was only kind of getting started with this, but I understand, like, there's always so much to say, this conversation will just go on for the rest of our lives by the looks of it, I feel.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot to it, and I think people that I interview come on, they think that they're only going to be talking about herpes, but what ends up happening is we talk about like those components that underlie herpes, and that's where the significant value is. It's not exclusively in the herpes story. It's about the person. It's about you giving yourself to this in a way that other people are able to see how we tend to dehumanize ourselves because we get a herpes diagnosis. But the reality is we discover just how much more human we are if we're willing to work through this. And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. What I'd like to say is, like, whoever it is that may be listening to this, whoever you are, wherever you are, and just take care of yourself, like that whatever high you're chasing, or in whatever places you may be ending up in, just pay attention and just be there for yourself, man. Be your own friend, and whatever validation and whatever you may be seeking from these other people, it's best if you try to set yourself up in a way that you can provide it to yourself. And if you can't, at least set yourself in a way that you attract the people that do, who can, understand your energy and just connect with you on a much more safer level, so to speak, because, communication is, after all, I feel personally, the best protection before anything. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try this. All right. I want to thank you, Karan. Thank you. Oh, I did it. Cool. I want to thank you for reaching out. I want to thank you for your time and for being willing to share your experience here, and go as deep as you were willing to go. I know that this is going to help somebody, just like whoever's episode I listened to reached out to you, and now you're reaching out. Like, that's how this thing works. We're all supporting each other. We may all never meet each other, but the support is there. So I want to thank you for your time.
Definitely. Thank you, and thank you for your time to call me.
All right. That concludes this episode of Something Positive for Positive People. Please like, rate, review, share, subscribe to, and donate to this organization. If you find value in any of these episodes and you yourself have not reached out, or if you feel like maybe there's a call for you to share your experience, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm just Courtney at SPFPP.org, or you can hit me up on Instagram, CourtneyBrame_. I'm not as active on social media these days, so you probably should just email me. But yeah, until next time.